Today's segment of Oh Brother is sponsored by FLS Energy, bringing solar energy to your home. Visit them on the web at flsenergy.com for more information.
So southern, they'll get up for you.
Reed, you know that I am, and I think you are now too, a fanatic of the Apple iPhone.
Yeah, definitely. I can't imagine how I lived before I had the iPhone.
It's one of those things, and our friend Les Newby he's just gonna, I don't know, and now he's gotten one, Reed, and of course he is fanatical about the iPhone.
You know, just earlier today, as a matter of fact, it's funny, my wife and I were driving somewhere, and it was a place where we had been like a year ago, and when we tried to leave that place a year ago, we had gotten a little bit lost, and I commented to her just earlier today. I said, it's funny, remember when we got lost a year ago, that wouldn't have happened had we had our iPhones at that time.
Yeah, and it's one of those things you don't understand until you have it.
Yeah.
Like I say, okay, here on the front page, whatever, I've got my clocks, I've got my camera and my video camera, and it keeps all my pictures, and you think, well, my phone does that. No, it doesn't do it like this iPhone does.
No, and the iPhone does so much more than just those things. I mean, it's a tiny computer, basically, that you have constantly in your pocket. So that's actually going to be the subject of today's Final Countdown.
It is. I'm Will Lochamy along with Reed Lochamy. You're listening to Oh Brother, and it's Friday, and we do the Final Countdown, and you know that why? Because right there, you hear the music start.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Reed, what we're talking about today is iPhone applications.
Yes.
And an application, if you don't know, is like just a little program you can buy.
Like a tiny little computer program.
Right. So, here's an example. I have Urban Spoon, which means I click on that, and I shake my phone, and it suggests somewhere within my area, wherever I am, it tells me, oh, here's a good place to eat.
If you want
to
go out
lock
to
it
eat,
in, and I could just say pizza. Just lock that in, and it suggests all the pizza places around.
And I've got a bunch of games on my phone.
A ton of games. How many apps do you have, Reed?
I don't know, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages.
Okay, and I've got 10 pages.
Wow.
And there's 16 apps per page.
Now,
that means I have 400 apps.
Wow. I have fewer than you because I only get free apps. I don't pay for apps.
I don't pay for many, but I pay for a couple. Some of these apps, I don't think any of these that I have are very controversial, but there have been some that have been rejected by Apple.
And
that
today
have made it and then been pulled.
Can't have them. Can't get them. And today we're actually going to count down 5. And I found this online somewhere. This was an article, once again, on MSN. A lot of things on the show come from MSN articles. I found an article that counted down a bunch of apps that have been rejected by iTunes. We're going to count down 5 that I pulled out of this article.
Right.
So let's start with number 5, and I'm going to go ahead and be honest with you. Well, some of these I think they should have been rejected by Apple. Some of them I don't think so. So let's talk about them. Number 5 iPhone app that was rejected by Apple and iTunes is the Baby Shaker. It says the reason for rejection was that it was deeply offensive. And I got to tell you, Will, who would do this? Because here's the thing. Everyone has heard of, or if they haven't, they need to, about shaken baby syndrome.
One of the funniest sounding
things.
Syndromes, but not funny at all.
Shaken baby syndrome is the exact opposite of funny. Granted, it sounds hilarious when you hear it. Your first instinct is to want to sing.
Because you think of a shaken baby, like
shaken
dancing
baby
around.
And the way it sounds, shaken baby syndrome.
Yeah, but not very funny.
People, listen, I can't believe somebody would even put the time into making an app like this. Basically, what would happen was that there would be, I guess, a picture of a baby, and the baby would cry, and then you would have to shake the phone to get the baby to stop crying.
Until it appeared dead, is what this says.
Right, and here's the thing is that if you don't know this, you should never, ever, for any reason, shake a baby. And that is true because it can be fatal to a baby to be shaken. Adults you can shake, not the end of the world. Babies you should not shake.
And they say that even you would think, well, I would never shake my baby, but totally normal people who would never do it end up doing it.
People get frustrated.
Because you get frustrated, you're tired, you haven't slept.
The baby will not stop crying.
And so you just kind of shake them like, come on, stop crying. You can't do it.
Now you can shake hands with a baby. If you meet a baby for the first time, it is appropriate to shake hands gently with the baby.
That was the Bill Clinton method.
Yeah.
The shaking babies, kissing women.
Bill Clinton. He would shake babies' hands.
He was kissing women, shaking babies' hands.
That's what it was.
That's what he was doing.
Never shaking. He would never have been elected president had he killed babies on the campaign.
So they pulled that app, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Number 4, Reed, is the I Am Rich app.
Yeah.
No reason was really given for why Apple pulled this. They didn't give one.
I'm a little surprised they did pull this one. I don't think this one should have been pulled.
No, I don't really either. And if you're dumb enough to buy
what was this app, Will?
All right. The app did only one thing, Reed.
What's that?
It would just tell people that I am rich and I have money to burn.
How would they know that?
Okay, because you would pay $1,000, $999.
$999 for this app.
$999
for one app.
Put on your screen like a gem, like a red gem.
That's it.
A picture of a red gem, so when people saw this on your iPhone, they would know, well, that person's rich because they had $999.
Surely no one would buy this.
Reed, people did buy it.
8 people.
8 people bought
Paid
this.
for this one. Wow.
Just a picture of a gem, $1,000, just so they can say, I have enough money that I can waste it on this picture.
Now, that's not all they were saying. They were also saying, hey, poor people, screw you. I just paid for nothing. $1,000 worth of nothing.
I'd like to meet one of those people.
Yeah. Well, number 3. I thought I was going to at that auction. I went to earlier this week. Number 3, Will. It says here, Me So Holy. This is the name of this app.
Holy.
Oh, Me So Holy. All right, look, Will. This app, this is another one I don't think should have been pulled. It says here, this app, which would have allowed you to put your face on an image of Jesus, was rejected by Apple, which said that it would, quote, be offensive to some people. Now, Will, I think this is a stupid sounding app.
Totally ridiculous.
It sounds stupid. I don't know why anybody would want to get this, but I think it's a little weird for Apple to say you can't have this just because some people might find that offensive.
Look, that's the age we're living in now, and I can't stand
it drives
that.
me nuts.
Oh, I can't stand it. Yeah, this is a ridiculous app, and why would anyone have it? But if they wanted to have it, that's up to them.
If you are offended by it, then don't get this app.
Don't look at it. Don't get it.
Don't get it. It's crazy.
Make 'em crazy.
Make 'em crazy.
What's
the
next one? Is My Shoe, which is do you remember reading Iraq when President Bush at the time was over there and an Iraqi reporter took his shoe off and threw it at President Bush and quick like lightning he moved right out of the way.
He did.
He dodged that shoe and in George W. Bush fashion had a great sense of humor about it and laughed it off.
I got to tell you, this is one of the most awesome things that's ever happened because, I mean, here you had all this tension and you got this man throwing his shoe, which was kind of funny, and you got George Bush, sure enough, deals with it relatively well.
And so this app reenacted that, and you got to throw shoes at George W. Bush. Now, of course, they pulled it because they thought it was defamatory to a public figure.
Yeah. Or defamatory.
Defamatory, that's what I meant to say. Sorry.
You mixed that with fire.
I did.
Yeah.
So anyway, but then they brought it back, and it wasn't just Bush. You put a picture of someone in there and then would throw the shoe.
Yeah, so what happened...
Anyway, so if you wanted it to be Bush, you could have put a picture of him and throw the shoe.
That's what happened. Apple said, no, you can't because it defames a public figure, which that's what public figures are for, is to be defamed.
Yeah, I don't care about the look. And you know me, I actually kind of liked George W. Bush.
He's likable.
He seemed like a pretty great guy.
Likable, yeah.
But I don't care if somebody wants to pretend they're throwing a shoe at him, whatever.
Apple wouldn't let
you. If you're pretending you're shooting him, that's a different thing because he's a president.
It's a little different, yeah. But now you can get it and you can put a picture of him on there. And Will, what's number 1 on today's countdown of 5 apps that you cannot get for your iPhone because iTunes rejects?
This one bothers me, Reed. It's called just South Park.
Now, wait a second. They wouldn't reject that because who would reject anything about South Park?
Listen, they objected it because of objectionable content.
Objectionable content?
Yeah, the creators of South Park had their Potty Mouth app rejected from iTunes in February 2009, which may not have been a surprise giving Apple's rules against potentially offensive content. I didn't know they had that.
I didn't either, but here's what surprises me is I've always liked Apple. This seems like a cool company or whatever, but there is nothing cool about rejecting anything about South Park. South Park, one of the best television shows of all time. I love it. It's great,
it's
great
actually,
social.
It's pretty smart.
It's very smart. It's full of all kinds of very interesting social commentary, and to me it's weird that Apple would reject
Well, here's the thing about it. They do have one South Park